Now, quick intro for you today, because there's not a lot of history on this pattern, and I'll bet it's one not many of you have heard of. It's called the Riffle Devil. And I found it in Raymond Scott Stetzer's Flies the Best 1000. It was in the Searching Nymph section, and it was created by Charles Brooks from West Yellowstone, Montana. And Brooks pretty much wrote the book on nymph fishing for big trout. In fact, well, this is it, Nymph Fishing for Larger Trout, published in 1976. A great book, but you know, it's more a fishing book than a tying book. Now this one, the Riffle Devil, it's pretty much a woolly worm, but without the tail, and you know, I think it's got a cooler name. And we all know the woolly worm, that's a really simple pattern. This one's even easier. So Clyde, up there in Alaska, who's always telling me to keep it simple, you're gonna like this one, my friend. Let's give it a shot. So there we go in the vise, Charles Brooks Riffle Devil. So how is this thing different from a woolly worm? Well, it's not really much different, but most woolly worms have a small tail, usually red, and this is tied pretty big. Brooks says 4, 6 or so. I'm actually going with an 8. I just don't want it that big, and I think I bent my hook a little bit there. Let's see, we're fine. So I want to use black thread, but if you wanted to match your body, yeah, that'd be perfectly fine. But black thread's fine too. So let's take a base down to the start of the bend. And the first thing I want to catch in is the brown hackle that I'm going to palmer up. And it's not a real long hackle, so I think this is going to be fine right here. Let's create a little catch-in point. And I'm going to catch it in right here at the back. Okay, that's going to be fine. And I'll just bury that little stem right there because we have such a thick body, it really doesn't matter. And in Joe Brooks' version here, he calls for an olive chenille, which this fly is kind of boring, so I'm going to use a variegated olive. I mean, it is olive, it's just a light olive and a darker olive. So let's catch this in right back here where we're going to start wrapping the body. Go ahead and take a thread up front. Now let's just wrap this up, touch and turns as close as you want, all the way up to the eye. Now we'll catch this off. And let's just palmer this hackle up as close or as far apart as you'd like. You know, some folks do fish a woolly worm as a dry fly, and I guess if you did that, you'd probably want these pretty close together. But this thing's just a straight up attractor nymph, searching nymph pattern. So I'm not putting them all that close, but let's take it on up front and catch it off. And let's see if we have any cleanup on our head right here. I got a little bit of fuzz, but nothing that a few extra thread wraps won't take care of. So go ahead and build a big old nymph head, whip finish it. And there you go, Charles Brooks Riffle Devil. Pretty cool looking pattern, but one of the simplest flies you can tie. So that's it, my friends. I appreciate you watching. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time.